Some of you might remember me doing this video about a younger couple that came in and sold me coins that were in Kagan holders and some currency. And I went through each one of these coins and showed them off. And he had cleaned these coins per my video. He saw the ezest and he saw PVC on these and he wanted to restore them. And that's what he did. And I went through the coins myself. I put a little acetone on them, dipped them in acetone to remove any residue that he might have left. Also, on the coppers, I did that as well because there was a proof copper in 1908. And I redid the 37 proof quarter and also the standing quarter here I had in the video. It had a little bit of a stain on it there. You can't really see it. You see that stain? I was able to restore it and remove that. Well, I'm going to show you the results of this video, and these are the most difficult and complicated ways to buy coins. Because first off, the coins were restored by the owner before they sold them to me, and the currency wasn't touched. Then you have to ascertain whether there was damage done to the coins initially and then after they were restored by the person who owned them. Then you have to look at what grade they are and with a problem-free grade. So what price do you offer? So I'm going to talk about that. You can judge me on what I did with these coins. I submitted every one of them except for the Oregon Trail. I think I just sold it. But anyways, you can judge what you think about what I did because I did the best I could. The offer to them was fair. And I started off, just to say this, I paid them $26.74 for all these notes and all these coins based off of the potential some of them might be cleaned and that some of them might not be as high grade as was listed. Well, I was right on some accounts, but we're going to look at these coins and we're going to talk about the details. I'm literally going to break down the buy and show you how much I possibly could make and how much it cost me for grading, how long it took, and some other information. So stay tuned. So here's my website, portsmouthcoinshop.com. If you're interested in buying coins from us, bullion from us, come over here and check out what we have to offer. We're always at an inventory at portsmouthcoinshop.com. So first things first, I also did a video on this colonial currency, showed you what grade it is, and we looked at those in detail. And I sold both of them, one for $3.25, and then the New Jersey here, I sold it for $4.50. Then we had the legal tender, the AU58. We thought, well, they had it down as a 65 uncirculated. I sent it off and it received AU58. And I paid $500 for it. And I sold it for $665. So I did okay. Not as good as I was hoping, but like I said, I talked to them about it and I told them if they come back really high grade, and they're going to be worth a lot of money, that I would call them back because I've got their number and everything. And we know the guy personally, especially Steve here that works here. He knows him. So we want to take care of any loose ends in case. Well, it ended up getting AU58, so did okay on that. And then here's the 1934 $20. It got 55, so it wasn't uncirculated. I ended up selling it for $49. So anyway, we're going to take a look at the rest of these. This is the nicest wood chopper that I've ever purchased, and I was hoping for a mint state grade, but it ended up being a public error. So it has the C instead of a U. But anyway, it's got choice EPQ. So we're looking at a note that can go, over 500. I paid 500 for it. And here's the 83 proof 64 brown. Now remember, all of these were restored, either with acetone to remove any PVC or with ezest. This one's a really nice, it's a beautiful early proof. And it received the 64, and then we have the 1908 mint state 64 red brown. Really nice coin there. And then we have the 1891 Mint State 64 seeded dime. And it wasn't cleaned. They graded it really nice, 64. Here's the reverse. Just really a beautiful coin. Then there's the 1917 S Mint State 64 full band lines. I thought this coin had the potential of being cleaned. Looked like it had a mark on the cheek. I did not think it was going to grade this high. I don't think it's going to sell for the retail that's listed at PCGS is, $1,000. Well, we'll talk about that though. 1926 Mint State 65. 20, nice little 26 there. You can see the prices on the back, $195. 1936 S Mint State 64. Pretty decent. $55 there's. And I use when you see these prices right here, I'm using CPG gray sheet, not PCGS. Sometimes you have to take 10 to 20% off of PCGS to actually get what it's going to sell for. 1936 Mint State 66 full band lines. I just didn't think that was 66. I think that's generous. Here's a reverse. $190. This one was the one that I actually had to do a little more restoration on. 1930S Mint State 64. You remember the stain was here. I was able to remove that, and it was still going to get 64. And it was reverse, and you see it's $370. The wholesale's underneath there too, the gray sheet. I always put that on there. 1937 PR66. It didn't get problem coin, which is great. It really helps out for that not to get problems. It's a $415 coin. 1946 Mint State 66 Walking Liberty half dollar. $190. Then we have the 36S Mint State 65 Rhode Island. And the 1926, the Oregon Trail, I think it was. I remember the date right. I think we sold it ungraded. I'm not really sure. 190. Would have sold for a couple hundred, I think it was. Here's the ADS that I thought would get 65. It's a really beautiful coin. But it got 64 instead. Worth about $105. So those marks across there, the breast is kind of, I think, penalized it. Then here's the 88S. This coin, they were offered melt for this coin. And it does have roller marks on it. Maybe that's why you thought it was cleaned. Maybe you thought it was scratched. I don't know. Roller marks, I'm going to talk about those. Retail, $950. Wholesale, $750 for this coin. There's no excuse in offering melt for this, though. At least get your books out if you're a dealer. The roller marks are just where they were rolling out the planchet. And they usually strike out whenever they're present on the planchet. When a die strikes it, it's supposed to strike them out. Most of these did strike out except for some right there in the lower area of the jawline and cheek. So anyways, that's the results. What I did was I bought these around September 10th. I did the video, so a little bit before the September 10th. So I submitted them a few days later or so. I'm not sure. I could have been a week later. But I just got them back the other day. They were in 3 different submissions. I had one to PMG. I had 2 of them. They separated it because the 88S was worth more. And then the rest of them were in the same submission. So the total cost for the submissions, all 3 of them, was $918. I paid them $26.74. So total cost $35.92. Now, the thing about the total cost is also the time that it had to take, and in my time, actually, in my effort, skill and things like that, trying to make sure that I did the best I could with the coins I didn't want to submit a bunch of clean coins, but I went ahead and took that risk. These are the values. See, $1,000, that's for the 17S. That's not going to go for that much. $750 is what I put on it for the retail. PCGS can be really inflated, but that's what the PCGS prices are. This is what I've, on the currency I've sold. So we take 10% off, which is probably a little too conservative. Some of them probably need more than that took off of them compared to PCGS. And I probably should have just took the values on the back and did it instead of PCGS. But it's just I thought it was just easier at the time I was doing this to look at the PCGS values. Because a lot of people are going to do that. A lot of dealers are going to put PCGS value on it and they're going to take less. Now me, I'm going to be a little bit different, but I'm just going to show you potentially here. So that's 48.37 potential retail. If you add it to the 68 or these here, it comes up to approximately 63.26. So we probably need to bump that up to about 7,000 is the potential that I could sell these for, and I have 35.92 in them. I'm not going to be able to sell them for 7,000. I know that that's not going to happen. So we're probably looking at maybe 6,500 is probably the value that I'm going to get. But anyway, my potential profit, the least that I'm going to make is 27.34 up to 3,000 on this deal. So I put 35.92 in it total, and I'm probably going to, net. I'm going to gross, 3,000, not including the time and the shipping and the pictures I got to take to list it and all that. Even though you might think you're just playing with numbers, you're just, I'm just justifying lowballing and all that. I showed you the math. And when you're a coin dealer, it's complicated. It's not just as easy as someone bringing in coins, not the way I do it. I'm submitting coins, trying to make more profit on them. I could have made a quick $1,000 on these by just flipping them and selling them at the show and wholesale them and whatever. But I decided I want to make more than that. So I upped my ante by sending them off, going through them, and doing the videos. And I did videos on them. I took the time to submit them. I'm going to take the time to take pictures and put them up. I had to price these. A lot of things go into this. So it's a lot more complicated than just paying them $2,600 for the coins and then, selling them for 6,000 something. That's not what happens here. It's a lot more complicated. So anyways, thanks for watching my latest video. I hope this helped you understand some of the buying processes here. I actually have a method to my madness. But anyways, please like, share, and comment. Please subscribe to the channel, and have a great day.